1% of wealthy men control 90% of wealth, which means that the remaining 99% of men only have access to 10% of wealth. The problem is, in a traditional household, traditional times, women were okay with being home. That meant that 99% of men had access to 10% of wealth, roughly. Now that women want to be equal to men, there's still only 10% of wealth available. If now 50% of women are in the workforce compared to if there's an equal amount of men and women in the workforce, that means that 10% of wealth that's available to all people that are not wealthy has to now be divided. So that means there's half the amount of wealth available to men compared to 1950. But a woman actually wants a man that makes more money. So, process of elimination. If there's only 10% of wealth available to the average man and women don't want traditional lifestyles, meaning they would rather go out and get the wealth themselves, then they're actually making it 50% harder to find a man that's able to take care of them simply by participating in the workforce. It's not my opinion, it's just the numbers. If 1% of wealthy men control 90% of the wealth, then that means that 99% of all men only have access to 10% of wealth. If only men worked, then men would have access to 10% of all of the wealth and be able to take care of women. But women work, so that 10% of wealth is cut in half. So 99% of men have access to 5% of wealth and desire a woman that's at least in the top 10 percentile of looks or femininity. It's crazy when you think about it. Like when you look at the numbers, when you really look at the numbers, it's actually kind of remarkable when you look at the numbers. But we can look at other numbers too. Like if you think I'm jonesing, I'm not. That graphic that I created actually was derived from some articles. So this is one of the articles that supports the graphic. It shows that 2021, almost twice as many women joined the workforce than men. Remember, only 10% of wealth is available for men and women. Only 10% of wealth is available. And if there's twice as many women compared to men that have the jobs, then that means that there are twice as many men that are less likely to be husbands because they're not in the workforce. So I'm not suggesting we should or shouldn't, women should or shouldn't. I'm just simply putting the data out there. So the more women want to be married to men that earn money, the less men that are available to earn money by default because there are more women in the workforce. So statistics, how do you yin and yang? And then a lot of men want traditional women that don't exist. So if they can't get that, then what's the point in them working? Men go to work because the idea of working and to have a family. Women go to work because, like, I guess it's a career aspiration. It's something like within them that they have to do. But we go to work because we want to take care of a family. That's kind of what we want. But as a result, once again, 1% of wealthy men control 90% of wealth. 99% of men have access to 10% of wealth.